Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2 and I'm back with part 2 of What If Naruto Was Born? 1 in a trillion guys. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And if you haven't seen it yet, brand new series out on Anime Symbol. What if Naruto was Itachi's older brother, guys? So yes, Naruto would be the older sibling amongst Itachi and Sasuke, so go over there. Link will be down in the description and check it out and enjoy, guys. And yes, I indeed have 3 more channels. I'll be leaving their link down there as well for you guys to check them out and become a part of the Anime King family. So without further ado or wasting any more time, don't forget to turn on the bell notification. So yeah, let us jump right into this brand new episode. Let's begin now, guys. So the last part we left off, a strange event took place. A 1 in a trillion event. It was when the birth of Naruto Uzumaki happened. When he opened his eyes to the world for the first time, the line of the stars lined up in a perfect pattern to release this celestial event over the village, all over the entire elemental nation. Harrison didn't know why, but he believed that the boy was linked to this somehow. Soon after, he discovered that this child was not ordinary. Yes, the boy was not ordinary in the slightest. As Naruto started to talk at an extremely young age, months to be quite exact, which should not be possible, Harrison kept Naruto close, wanting to make sure that Naruto was monitored because he knew that this child was no ordinary child. When Naruto turned 4 years old, Danzo leaked Naruto's status, hoping to use it against Harrison, knowing that Harrison would defend the boy, as he wanted to use it to make sure that he wasn't a threat when he decided to take over in the coming future. However, as for Naruto, his mind was able to understand everything around him at levels that most people could not. He was able to find out about his father. Harrison was shocked, however, he realized that lying to Naruto would just be a waste of time. The child's intelligence was just on another level, and lying to him right now would just get Naruto to distrust him every time they ever had a conversation. So he told Naruto everything. Upon attending the academy, Naruto learned that he was a lot smarter than the kids that were here. He used that to his advantage. However, he did wanted to make friends. When some bullies realized that they were gonna be probably praised by defeating him, given the rumors that they heard, their parents telling them to stay away, that he was bad, but not telling them why. Naruto took all of them on with ease, as they did not stand a chance. Kiba wanted to know how did he do that. The both of them were the same size and those bullies were at least 2 grades older than them. So how was he able to pull off that? As Naruto told him that, well, he was just stronger. Not really going into much detail. However, Kiba was the first friend that he made, which introduced him to several others, including Choji and Shikamaru. The moment Naruto started to talk to them, he made an assessment of their personality and their quirks, trying to understand them, and he did, down to the letter. But it wasn't just that though, he met Shino as well. Shino bugs fascinate Naruto. Yes, they fascinate him because of his mind, his ever-growing expanding mind. Naruto went, for the next couple of years, learning and growing. He was able to break down the part of his chakra that was able to isolate a certain area, allowing him to bypass the limitation that one would have on knowing how to generate a certain force of energy, as Naruto could feel it inside of him. His mind and body were special, greatly enhanced. His strength without chakra was something else, and Naruto was writing a book on that. When he revealed this all to Hiruzen and showed him the book, Hiruzen was truly and utterly astonished. He knew that Naruto had been up to something, but this was not what he was expecting, not in the slightest, as Naruto's work truly astonished him. Naruto was able to understand and learn more about chakra than anyone else in this field. Hiruzen was fathomed by the information that he read, unable to properly assess most of it. He brought Naruto to perform an IQ test on him, and there was limitations on the tests, and Naruto shattered every single one of them, which meant they could not physically understand his full IQ. The doctor was beyond impressed, believing that letting him stay at the academy was a waste of his time and a waste of his talents. However, the doctor was a bit concerned, and he made his concerns known to Hiruzen, telling him that people like that tend to get bored easily, so he needs to be very careful in terms of how he handled Naruto. When Naruto turned his sights on Fuinjutsu, it opened a different level of understanding, allowing him to bridge connections where there was none. Naruto ended up in the forest as he placed a ceiling tag inside of a rabbit. It transformed into a ravenous beast, which then attacked him. However, he showed his advanced control over geokinesis and turned his arm into a rock, blocking the attack before subduing the animal. He then removed the tag and tweaked it. Upon placing it back, the thing was completely submissive to him. However, Naruto overheard something as he made his way. Finding Iruka and Mizuki fighting, Mizuki revealing that he was the 90th Fox. However, Naruto already knew that, as they started to engage each other in a battle. Their battle led to Naruto creating a blade made from pure water. However, Naruto isolated the water down to a small degree, so when he finally released it, it released enough force to blow Mizuki's top half to nothingness. Naruto did not seem to care in the slightest that he just massacred the man without hesitation. So yeah guys, basically let's pull out off you guys again, switch across the playcheck to this episode to begin this new episode. We begin this new episode with Naruto, as he was in the office. Hiruzen was asking him questions, as Naruto finally voiced his opinion on the matter. Why are you asking me these questions? Are you trying to see how I feel about what I've done? Taking someone's life, it being my first time, said Naruto. Since I got in here, you've not directly asked me how I felt about it. You're skipping around it, trying to assess my emotional response towards what recently happened. But I feel insulted that you believe I wouldn't see what you're trying to do. But I'll answer your question, the one I know that you want to ask me. No, I do not feel bad. In fact, the moment I knew that he was a traitor, I knew that I was going to kill him, and nothing would have stopped me from doing that. While not any good actions by any standard, he's a traitor to this village, and as a citizen of Konoha, shouldn't I protect secrets that would eventually harm said village? If he had gotten away with that scroll, wouldn't that have been bad? Yes, Hiruzen said. But Naruto cut him off. Have I seen him detached lately? Why did you ask me that, Hiruzen said? Because you're questioning me like I'm up to no good, or doing something bad. I've been rather forward with the things I've done so far, and I've shown you. I even gave you the book to copy. I have told you how I felt about your situation from day one, and how concerned I was. Are you losing faith in my judgment to keep you safe, Hiruzen asked. Of course not, said Naruto. But you seem to be getting more and more worried about me, when I can assure you that I'm perfectly fine. But I suppose I understand, said Naruto, getting up and making his way. People that become too obsessed with one theory, obsessed with either a thirst for power or a thirst for knowledge, tend to do things that are seen as traitorous acts before they turn violent. My actions so far, the path that I'm going, they must remind you of your past student. I was able to read about the information that I got, which is not much. But I knew that he took kids away, and I know that he's still alive. And I can understand how, seeing what he did, and seeing what I'm currently doing in the path that I'm currently going down, that you're concerned. And I can tell that you're gravely concerned about my well-being, but I assure you, there's absolutely nothing to worry about, said Naruto. Despite Naruto's comforting words, Hiruzen was still concerned, as he just wanted to know how killing Mizuki affected Naruto, if he felt any kind of way about it. After what the specialist had told him about the kind of person Naruto might turn into because of his thirst for understanding everything, it reminded him so much of Orochimaru. However, it was impossible to trick Naruto, mental-wise. Hiruzen was old and experienced, and yet he could not. He doubted anyone could. The boy IQ, it wasn't just about book reading or learning about subjects that were difficult to master. It was everything. His knowledge consumption seemed to be getting larger and larger, and yet, for someone that had such knowledge, it didn't seem to turn him into a complete catatonic person with too much on their mind. How does he balance it all? It was leaving everyone baffled that knew about it. However, Hiruzen was still concerned, remembering Orochimaru and remembering what kind of kind, sweet young boy he was. And now, he grimaced at the thought of those 30 children that were taken away. Time skip. Naruto could tell that Hiruzen was still concerned. Yes, he was. He was not supposed to be on Team 7. It made no sense. While Naruto did not go beyond his means to perform in a way that would outshine everyone else, Naruto doubted that anyone within the class could take him on. And that goes for Haruka as well, in terms of fighting and overall skills. However, he tended to downplay things, mostly because none of this truly matters when it came down to becoming a shinobi. As long as he passed the test, he was okay. So he tended to downplay most of his achievements, and to show that he could actually dominate every single person within the class. So him being placed on Team 7 made no sense. It had no structural balance. The team would be too overpowered, and many other teams would benefit with him being on them in terms of balancing their structure. However, Naruto figured that the Hokage trusts Kakashi Hatake more than most of the Jonins, to be able to watch him thoroughly and understand him more. Naruto did his research about almost everyone. It was a few years back that he learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu. He first saw it being performed by a high-class Jonin. Curious about the mechanics, he scoured the library to try and find anything linking back to it. And the moment he found the slight information, Naruto was able to understand it. Most would think that it was difficult, but it was simply isolating your chakra in a certain pattern to be able to mold everything, personality, sense. Naruto believed that he could make the clone jutsu far stronger in terms of replication and durability, but he just used it for gathering information now. Certain drawbacks would be having a major headache for consuming so much information, but unlike many, certain stimulus that would aggravate other people's mind would not for Naruto. His capacity was much larger. So now here he was, waiting. Sakura, Haruno, and Sasuke Uchiha. Two of them that he hasn't really connect with or bond with. He had some friends in the class, but not a major overpopulated group. But these two were never someone that he really spoke to that much. He had spoken to the girl on numerous occasions, in terms of things to do within the class and all of that. However, Sasuke on the other hand, they hadn't really connected. Although Naruto doubted that Uchiha would connect with anyone. People tend to misunderstand being okay. Naruto could tell that Sasuke was not okay with what Itachi put him through. A small trigger, that was all it would take to send Sasuke in a catatonic state if you hit the right notes. And Naruto learned all of this from simply studying his behavior. As for the girl, she was mentally weak and physically as well. She was book smart. In terms of your smaller capacity book smart. Not in terms of his. Hiruzen often questioned why he never really took interest in the academy, or why he never really showed what he could truly do before they found out about this. However, Naruto just did not see this as a requirement. To him it was a waste of time, because the academy would give nothing to advance their growth as a shinobi. Perhaps it would give them good grades, but the only thing that mattered was the testing to perform, to either be a chunin or a jonin, to elevate their status. And most of that Naruto wasn't too giddy about. After all, he had other things to deal with. As for the girl, he could pick her apart in about 20 seconds without even touching her. Naruto figured that their sensei would not be on time. He supposed if they were going to be a team, some bonding exercise would have to be bridged between them as he got out of his seat. Sasuke did not look up, as he made it an effort not to do so. As a shadow loomed over him, he couldn't take it anymore after a good 15 seconds, as he finally looked up and met Naruto's gaze. Naruto was giving him an odd look, like he was judging him with his eyes, like Sasuke was not good enough. That was the impression that the Uchiha got. Suddenly, Naruto had lashed out and grabbed Sasuke. Sakura was confused as she was watching the whole thing. Lifting Sasuke out of his seat, Naruto threw him. Sasuke was immensely caught off guard. Luckily though, Naruto had opened the window. Sasuke flipped and landed on his feet outside. The moment he did, Naruto came barreling out. Sasuke ducked under the blow and weaved around and swung a kick. Naruto blocked it. No words were said as Uchiha was defending himself. He lashed out with a violent punch. Naruto jumped over him and kicked him in the back. "Naruto, what are you doing?" Sakura yelled. Naruto tilted his head, dodging Sasuke's blow to the side of his face. He pulled back and slammed his elbow right into Sasuke's gut, causing him to stagger back. The moment Sasuke looked back up, Naruto headbutted him. He staggered as Naruto knocked him down. As Naruto got on top and held him there. Is that it? The famous Uchiha power? Is that all you got? His words angered Sasuke as he pushed Naruto off. The moment Sasuke got back up, he delivered a brutal combo punches. Two to Naruto's gut and one to his face, causing Naruto to stagger as Sasuke jumped and did a spinning kick. However, Naruto blocked it just in time and threw him away, causing the both of them to part as Sasuke took several breaths. "I don't know what the hell your problem is, but you seem to have a death wish," Sasuke said. "Not if you're that weak," said Naruto. "What? I'm assessing you. What don't you understand? If you're going to be on my team, you're gonna have to be stronger." Sasuke was insulted. How could he say that to him when he was the strongest in the class? "Do you know who the hell I am?" Sasuke had to ask, wondering if he was dealing with someone new here, but he could swear that this person had been in his class. Well, he wasn't a fan of paying attention, but this person was there. "The name is Naruto Uzumaki. You should remember that name rather well. After all, if you're going to be on Team 7 with me, You're gonna have to be much stronger than this. You speak as if you're stronger than me. Sasuke gasped as Naruto rested his hand on Sasuke's chest. Sakura couldn't believe what she just saw, her eyes wide. How did he... Sasuke didn't even move or step back, just confused. As you can see, I'm much faster than I let on. However, being a Uchiha, you have the potential to reach my strength, to even be my rival. And I want a worthy and powerful rival, not some weak individual that cannot cut it. Because if you can't best me, you can't best anyone else. Despite his original shock, Sasuke knocked Naruto's hand away, not caring if he was stronger or not. His Uchiha blood flaring up, as that made Naruto smile. I guess you do have some fight in you, and you're not as much of a coward as I thought. With that, Naruto started to walk back towards the window. Sakura moved aside as he jumped back in. Sorry about that, he said, scratching the back of his head. Why did you attack him? She shouted, wanting answers. However, Naruto's eyes went wide as he simply stared at her. What is it? She said, getting nervous and backing up. His eyes started to roam all over her face as Naruto saw something. He then smiled at her. Sorry for my staring, he said. I just didn't realize how truly beautiful you were. That caught Sakura off guard. Sasuke, that was in earshot as well, paused, blinking as he wondered if he heard correctly. Before she knew it, Naruto reached up and brushed her hair away from her face. You have a truly remarkable face. Perfectly aligned. Everything. From your forehead to your cute little nose. Sakura's face turned insanely red when she heard that, as she could not face Naruto anymore. His smile and his words caused her to scream slightly before she backed away. Most people believe that it was hard to find certain people insecurities, but it really was not. When Naruto started to study her face, he noticed the discomfort when he looked at her forehead. Perhaps someone mocking her about it being large in the past. So instead of using that as something to hurt her, he used it as something to lift her up, immediately making her putty in his hand. As she blushed and was unable to face him, Naruto then turned to face Sasuke. She likes you, said Naruto, causing Sakura's face to turn beet red even more. But I think it's a waste, given that you show her no affection. Therefore, I'm willing to fight you for her, said Naruto plainly. What? Sasuke said. You heard me, said Naruto. I guess being the better is not the only thing that we're going to be rivals about. He said, eyeing off with the Uchiha, who did not really care about Sakura, but it was a challenge, and Sasuke's arrogance and his Uchiha blood refused him to back down to any challenge. So when he stood up to face against Naruto, Sakura almost fainted. Was Sasuke fighting over her? And now, she never really took Naruto's looks into consideration, but a moment ago when he smiled at her, she couldn't even think the words. It would be betraying everything that she thought about her precious Uchiha, right? Before the boys could square off though, Kakashi Hatake arrived earlier than expected. Kakashi's interest had been piqued by one person in particular, and that was none other than Naruto. Before Kakashi was assigned Team 7, Hiruzen had allowed him to see the applicants. He met Sakura's parents. He saw where Sasuke lived. He saw where Naruto lived as well. However, Hiruzen's words about Naruto piqued his interest. Not to mention him relaying something secretive towards him that Naruto knew, the identity of his parents. Kakashi was a bit worried that the child might spill, but after speaking with Hiruzen, he was truly curious about Naruto's mental capacity. Not to mention him being here, observing their behaviors, and he realized that Naruto was just like him. In the beginning, when he took his bell test, his only goal was to pass. Realizing that he couldn't do so without his teammates, he was willing to manipulate them to do as he pleased. And now, Naruto was doing the same thing, as he stepped inside and prevent a battle from breaking out once again. Time skip. They sat on the roof. Sakura had a much harder time introducing herself, because Naruto was constantly staring at her, making her words jumble as she could not speak. Sasuke, on the other hand, had his goal set. He desired to kill his brother. While he did not say that in many words, well, it was plain as day. Kakashi found what Naruto had to say very interesting. To break any limitation that I possess. The copy ninja wanted an explanation on that, the first time that he ever asked for one, when greeting a genin. It is exactly as it sounds, said Naruto. There are many limitations that are set on us humans. However, I differ from most. That is why I shall be the first to break through and pass this level that we're currently restricted at. His words confused the others as well, as Kakashi told them to meet tomorrow, giving them a little trick about not eating. As Naruto was heading home, he paused. He turned and spoke up. "Are you gonna hide forever?" he said. The copy ninja flickered beside Naruto, without a second thought. "I'm impressed that you knew I was there," Kakashi said. "I know a lot of things," said Naruto. "Yes, I've noticed. Using your smarts to manipulate members around you is not a very wholesome thing to do." "I suppose you're right," said Naruto. "So you're not gonna deny it," said Kakashi. "Why would I? You were there to witness the whole thing," said Naruto. "However, my goal is simply not to manipulate or use anyone. It is simply to help them. After all, without help, they're going to be neglecting certain areas that they need to improve in. And you believe that you have the right to pick what they need to improve in. You do realize that I will be your sensei, correct? And you will be the student." "Well, that is if I pass your test tomorrow," said Naruto, causing the copy ninja to narrow his one lone eye. "However, I'm sure that there's another reason why you're here other than that. I mean, it's a bit ironic that I'm on your team. I suppose it's fitting given that you were my father's student as well. I doubt the Hokage has not informed you about my knowledge on this subject. I suppose if I can ask anyone, I can ask you. What was he like?" said Naruto. Those words brought back a lot of memory for Kakashi as he thought about the past. If he could describe Minato in one word, he would have to say complete. Most other people would not even try to understand what he meant by that. However, Naruto did not require any explanation. They did say that his father was a prodigy of prodigies after all. A man that did not only fit, not just in taijutsu to create his own fighting style, but in ninjutsu as well. Granted, there were certain areas that he never excelled in, and the only reason was because he died too early. That was the only problem. Had he lived till now, he would certainly be a master in almost every area. "Well, thank you," said Naruto. "It was good talking to you, and you gave me another perspective I've yet to look at." Kakashi was curious by Naruto's words, but he noticed something about the apartment building that Naruto lived in. Strangely enough, he didn't see anyone else, and that confused him a bit. At this time of the day, he then looked at it from a perspective of the villagers. Perhaps many of them moved out because he lived there, which made him feel kind of bad for Naruto as he entered and closed the door behind him. The copy ninja made his way after that, leaving Naruto to his own mechanics. Inside of the apartment, as Naruto made his way, arriving when Naruto opened his bedroom, there was Two doors. One that led to the bathroom and one that led to somewhere else. Upon opening it, there was a long row of stairs that went down as Naruto ventured within the darkness. The next day, the members of Team 7, not as yet, has gathered on the field. It seems the others weren't able to see underneath the words that Kakashi posed them with, telling them not to eat. Sakura, who hadn't eaten the night before because she was on a diet, found herself extremely hungry. Sasuke as well. I apologize, Naruto said, confusing the both of them for not alerting the both of you about the trickery in his words. What are you talking about? Sakura said. His intention was to use food against you guys. Well, all of us. But as you can see, I am 100% fine, said Naruto. Sasuke narrowed his eyes, wondering what or where he was going with this. I assume that his test will involve pushing us to physical limits, and there would be some reward that includes lunch, or the denial of lunch. But he said that we shouldn't eat, Sakura said. He didn't say that. He said he advised us not to eat, because the test would make us throw up. He didn't give a direct order, and besides, he's not officially our Jonin sensei yet. In fact, we're not even ninjas yet. What? Sasuke finally chimed in. Think about it. What do you think this test that he's going to give us represent? Sasuke didn't quite understand where Naruto was going with this. They're going to test us to see if we're ready to be Genins. But the academy test, Sakura said. That was to just step out of the academy. And now it's time to see what we're truly made of. As Naruto reached and pulled out a small vial. Inside of it was 3 little pills. He threw 2 in his hand before he made his way to the other 2 and handed each of them one. What the hell is this? Sasuke asked, examining said pills. Eat it, said Naruto. Why? Sasuke said, looking at the pill suspiciously. It will benefit you greatly, Naruto said. His words were vague on what exactly he meant, as the 2 of them looked at it with such a suspicious gaze. This was a pill. As it wasn't food or anything, it was a pill. Your concerns are valid, said Naruto. But I assure you there is absolutely nothing for you to worry about. In fact, this will help you come out on top. And I have no doubt in my mind, consuming this pill will up your chances of success to around 90%. And I fear that failure in this matter would end in us returning back to the academy. What? Sakura said first. Sasuke, looking rather surprised at Naruto's words. Who told you that? Sasuke said. It is simply one of the many theories I currently have at my disposal at the moment, said Naruto. So go ahead, eat up. The both of them were still a bit suspicious, but why would Naruto try to poison them or something bad? The first to reach a pill up to his mouth was Sasuke, not wanting to be sent back to the academy for his future goals as he swallowed the pill. Seeing Sasuke do it, Sakura went ahead and do it as well. Immediately, the both of them felt this rush. Sakura blinked in confusion as she looked at herself. I'm full, she said. What just happened? Sasuke asked. That one pill, Sakura said. It made my stomach full. How is it even possible? She said, looking towards Naruto. The stimuli of food, said Naruto, in your system. That one pill packs enough to ensure your body that it's full. But not just a mental capacity. It is also physical as well, with a bit of chakra in between. They were confused by that, but Sakura had to voice her question. So you're telling me that I can simply consume a pill like that without eating a lot of food and still be on a diet? Unfortunately, no, said Naruto. Prolonged usage of this will cause drastic effects on the human form. That is why You can only consume one safely in 1 week, said Naruto. But the side effects should wear off in a couple of hours, and you're going to have to eat once again, Naruto said. But for now, your stomach is quite full. Because it is, Naruto said. You created this, Sasuke asked. Finding what Naruto was saying quite, well, curious. He was curious about something. Usually he sometimes blow things off, but this. Yes, said Naruto. It seems you two haven't realized, but I'm a genius, said Naruto as he walked over and sat down. The both of them looking at him, surprised that this actually worked. As they tried to wrap their head around the understanding of one pill making their stomach fill. It was like they just eat a heavy breakfast. It was shocking. For the next 2 hours, Kakashi did not show up. As he finally arrived, greeting them with an eye smile, Sakura was not pleased by his tardiness, and she made her opinion known. Oh, sorry about that. There was a black cat in my path, so I had to take the long way around. All of them sweat dropped at his remark, as he told them about the test. Their worst fears were confirmed. It was exactly as Naruto said. However, Kakashi didn't know that their stomach was currently full at the moment, as he told them that one of them would be going back. Sakura started to panic, remembering the battle between the both of them, and she knew that she wasn't that strong. It seems like she would be the one that failed. The moment Kakashi gave the go-ahead, they flashed into the bushes. The only person that was standing there was Naruto, as he was the only one that had not moved. Naruto pulled a kunai out. As Kakashi looked towards him, do you really believe that this is the wisest choice to take me head on, Kakashi asked. Naruto said nothing instead. He held his hand in a throwing motion. The copy ninja was ready to dodge or deflect. Kakashi immediately whipped his head to the side, a shocked look on his face. As he reached up and touched his cheek, blood. The man was surprised. Naruto had thrown the kunai so fast, he barely had time to dodge, and it still marked his face. Even while underestimating me, you still have a good reaction time. That's good, said Naruto. With that, he started to walk off into the woods. On the other side, Sakura was watching. She wasn't quite sure what Naruto did. Because of the distance and how fast he threw the kunai, she did not see it. She just saw his arm extended and the weapon was gone. But there was no way that he could throw that so fast, right? Sasuke was analyzing as he had saw it though, his eyes being much faster. It made him think just how strong was Naruto. Meanwhile, as Sakura hunkered down, she wondered what was she going to do. There was no doubt in her mind that she was going to be sent back. She heard something. Immediately she got to her feet, reaching for her weapon pouch, but a hand rested on hers. A hand covered her mouth, stopping her from screaming. It's just me. She heard his voice. It was Naruto, as he was standing behind her. What are you doing here? She squealed as Naruto picked her up bridal style, as she told him to put her down. Did you really think that we were going to leave you behind? She blinked. How did he know what she was thinking? Do not worry, he said. We are all going to pass. With that, he took off to the trees. Sasuke turned as he saw the both of them heading this way. They landed, Sakura's face looking rather red, as Naruto released her. He looked towards the both of them. I have figured out the reason behind this test, so that all of us can pass. Time skip. Kakashi sat in the Hokage office, telling Hiruzen everything. Naruto was not using a fraction of his skills. Kakashi could tell that. He simply worked with the others because he wanted to pass. However, Kakashi did not quite know if that was 100% true. It seems like he cared for them, but at the same moment, It seems like he was doing this for his own advances. The copy ninja wasn't so sure, but with his mind, Kakashi doubted that he could easily trick Naruto. He figured out the test in a matter of seconds, understanding perhaps even the day before. So yes, Team 7 was now official. Time skip. Team 7 was making their way towards the Land of Wave. It was their first C-rank mission since becoming a team. 1 month and a half. That was how long they've been stuck doing D ranks. Sasuke was tired and fed up of this, as Naruto did not seem to mind it though. So Sasuke was the one to voice his opinion on this being a waste of his time. Kakashi knew that he would be on the ban for this, with Kakashi not showing the proper respect for their village leader. So at the moment, here they were, accompanying Tazuna towards the Land of Wave, the bridge builder. Tazuna was having a conversation with Naruto, who seemed to be fascinated about his island. However, Naruto's words were making Tazuna very nervous, as he had to be very careful because he was keeping a secret. Kakashi noticed a puddle up ahead. He knew that Naruto already knew that it was there. The boy's mind was more advanced than anyone his age. His thinking and process level was seemingly Kage level. It was even a shock to say that, but his mind was beyond powerful. However, Kakashi still went through with his plan, knowing that the team would be safe otherwise. The copy ninja was ripped to sunders as the demon brothers emerged. Take the one on the left. Naruto's voice reached Sasuke. Naruto threw 4 kunais. Those 4 kunais interlocked the chain in a certain pattern, stopping both demon brother. The 2 of them first locked the chains down together, while the other 2 pinned the gauntlet down to the chains by going through the loop. Both brothers were shocked, as they didn't have time to break it. Sasuke came in and knocked the one on the left with a violent kick, throwing him towards a tree. The chain yanked him back, giving Sasuke the perfect opportunity to spin and deliver a brutal roundhouse kick. The force was enough to knock Miyaizo out. Gozu pulled out a kunai to break the chain. However, Naruto jabbed him right underneath his arm, and his arm went limp. He jabbed the other one and it went limp as well. What the hell, said Gozu, as Naruto jammed him right below the knee. Gozu's body seemed to seize up as he collapsed, as he couldn't move anything but his head. What the hell is going on, he said, unable to do anything. Sakura breathed a sigh of relief before her eyes went wide. However, Kakashi arrived completely fine. She was worried as they heard the truth. However, both Naruto and Sasuke were stronger than her. So even if something were to happen to Kakashi, even if this was dangerous, she believed that they could weather through any storm that they would have to face. She had to be brave for her team, so she agreed to go, as every one of them were given a choice by Kakashi on what they felt they needed to do. Sasuke questioned how was Naruto able to throw all kunais at the same time, and yet they all went through different trajectory. As Naruto told him it was all about understanding the physics behind his throw. His further explanation only served to confuse Sasuke, but he understood a small part of what Naruto had said to him, as he looked at his own kunai and thought about his own throwing process, as Naruto offered to help him. His pride, on the other hand, did not want to take that. After all, he wanted to best Naruto, and receiving help from your rival was not something that he believed was right to do. Tazuna was just grateful for them, more so Naruto, who was adamant on going to his village, as he thought that Naruto was a pure-hearted individual. They came across another big threat though, Zabuza Momochi, as the demon of the mist came down upon them, using a violent amount of bloodlust. Sakura and Sasuke were On the verge of collapsing, Sasuke even wanted to take his own life. That was how bad it was. However, all that bloodlust ceased to exist a moment later, courtesy of Naruto. What the hell? Zabuza said, confused. As he looked at Naruto that was radiating a sensation that was blanketing the entire place. It wasn't overwhelming, it wasn't crushing, it was simply dissipating everything. The mist in the air that was generated by chakra ceased to exist as well, clearing up the entire place. A vicious battle took place between Kakashi and Zabuza. However, Kakashi was kicked up on the water and a clone was turned into a bubble containing him. The copy ninja cursed at his luck. He told Team 7 to grab the client and run. Zabuza could not leave this position. However, Zabuza smirked and created a water clone. The problem was the clone could not go too far away from the wielder. He told them to run now. Not so fast, the clone said. Dashing forward, Sasuke immediately pulled out two kunais. Sakura, despite her hand shaking, raised her kunai ready to fight. However, all of that meant nothing, as Naruto kicked the clone head clean off, the body reverting back to water. Speechless they all were, as Naruto landed on his feet. He reached behind him and pulled something out, a small little box. Where he was getting these items from was rather strange, given that Naruto was not wearing a coat or anything. Yes, his shirt was larger than most, as he was wearing a sleeveless black shirt with an undershirt underneath. However, he had items behind him. Inside of the box there was small balls, each of them the size of a rubber on a pencil. They were silver as Naruto took them out. They seemed to be magnetized against something the way they move, as they move around his hand and move around him. The first one that Naruto chucked, it split through the air at blinding speed. Zabuza, being fast, raised his blade. However, luckily he moved his head in time as the thing ruptured through the solid steel, followed by the other three. Zabuza could not block and stay in one place. He had to move, creating distance between him and them. That is when Naruto took the balls back as they went to his feet. They move off at the same speed, making Naruto cross the distance in a matter of seconds. Zabuza was shocked as he raised his blade. What in the hell is this brat, he thought. Naruto released an onslaught of punches. Yes, his bare hands against steel. It was around 50 punches in the span of a few seconds. How his hands were moving so fast was a shock to many, as all they could see was the blurs of his hands, each precise punch until the blade shattered in half. Naruto's fingers grip into the solid broken piece. Zabuza twists as they slam the two pieces together, causing the thing to dent in on itself because of the amount of force that the both of them were swing with. This isn't possible, Zabuza thought. How was this brat doing all of this with his bare hands? With that, Naruto jumped away and landed back on the surface, the small blemishes on his hands quickly vanishing away. I'm surprised, said Naruto. You're quite worthy of your title. However, Sensei, you're quite free now. I suppose there won't be another slip-up like this, Naruto said, carrying the broken blade with him. Kakashi told him to stand back, alarmed by what he just saw, but this was not the time for that. Naruto saw all of them looking at him. Is there something on my face, he said, as they all sweat drop at his comment despite the crucial moment. However, before Kakashi could finish the job though, something happened. A hunter nin arrived and took Zabuza. The problem was Kakashi ended up falling as Naruto caught the man. He was exhausted, Sakura worrying that he was hurt badly, but he was just tired. Tazuna offered to carry him as they made their way, arriving towards the home. Tsunami so happy to see her father as they were all introduced. Kakashi was placed upstairs. Sasuke wanted answers. How the hell did you do that, he said, questioning Naruto. Oh, it's quite simple. I move my feet and I walk. What? Sasuke said. I assume that you're questioning me on how I walk, given the long period of time I've done something extreme. You know that's not what I'm talking about. Ah, I do, said Naruto. I suppose I just amuse myself most times. How were you able to break that steel with your fist alone? That shouldn't be possible, Sasuke said, wondering the depths of Naruto's strength and power. Just how much was he holding back? My body is physically stronger than most, even without chakra, which allows me to do things like this, Naruto said, picking up a good-sized stone before crushing it in his hand like it was nothing, causing Sasuke's eyes to widen how effortlessly he did it, having no idea that Naruto was that strong. When Kakashi finally came to, Naruto was there. I have a question. Your chakra capacity is much more restricted than I originally thought. I assume this is because of your Sharingan. Not having the body or a chakra for Uchiha, your body expends a lot more chakra when used in the eye. Not to mention you can't deactivate it, which means your chakra capacity is slowly being released even while covered. Kakashi knew that he shouldn't be surprised. After all, Naruto was a genius. I have a question for you as well. How did you break that sword with your fists? You underestimate me, said Naruto. We've never actually fought. You've trained us. You've also tested us during the bell test, but I've never actually fought you to try and mortally wound you, so you don't know how truly strong I am. And what about the small balls that you use, said Kakashi. Condensed energy, said Naruto. It's quite hard to explain, but I suppose I can do my best in elaborating to you on some of the points. Time skip. Kakashi was starting to train the other two, as Naruto voiced his opinion. I already quite am aware of walking on trees, so I'll be off doing my own thing. I suppose that's alright with you. What about water walking, the copy ninja asks. I learned that when I was 7, said Naruto. As he made his way, he had other things to do. As they spent time at the Land of Wave, they had a little run-in with Iniri at the dinner table, where Naruto made quite an interesting philosophy on his life. So you're saying that there is no hope, and we should just give up, is that correct? Iniri was rather solid in his beliefs that they would all die. So under the same assumption, that mean you and your family will all die as well, given that there will be no one here to protect you. The child did not object against what Naruto said. However, when Naruto picked up a knife off the table, Kakashi and the other grown-ups, Tsunami and Tazuna, narrowed their eyes. Sakura not believing that Naruto would do anything dangerous. Neither did Sasuke, as Naruto held the thing up and threw it. Iniri threw himself down to the ground in fear, protecting himself. However, the weapon went nowhere near the child, as it stuck in the wall. Immediately the backlash came from Naruto doing something so stupid, but he ignored them all as he helped Iniri up to his feet. You see that? If there was no point, you would have simply accepted your fate. But as much as you keep on denying that there is no hope, you still have somewhere in there. The child ran away crying in fear. It seems my methods were a bit too harsh on him, I suppose, Naruto said. As he stayed in that night, if he would have left, he would have probably had an encounter with Zabuza's subordinate, but that did not happen. As the days flew by, Iniri started to watch Naruto, Perhaps it was his curiosity about what Naruto said. There were days that they left someone behind just in case. And this day was Naruto's turn. Kakashi was quite confident in leaving Naruto, knowing that if any thugs came here or anyone above genuine level, that Naruto would quite be able to handle them easily. As Naruto stood by the window, he saw them. He watched the scenario play out. He did not intervene at first, he simply watched, seeing what the child would do, despite how dangerous his actions would be. To let Iniri get hurt, Naruto simply stood there. However, seeing Iniri charge head forward, Naruto just looked at him. The balls in his hands were already there. As Naruto threw them, Iniri did not feel anything. Tsunami was knocked out because of said thug. However, both men, their bodies collapsed on the ground. Iniri stood there confused because he could not see their forehead. The balls had punctured through their skull, ending their life immediately. As Naruto jumped down, Iniri was shocked, trying to understand what happened. As Naruto told him that he did have it inside of him after all. The child was seemingly overjoyed by having that spark reignite inside of him. As Naruto told him to watch over his mother, as he pulled out a seal and both corpses were sucked inside. As Naruto headed towards the bridge, there was a lot on his mind. To be quite frank, Naruto did not care about these people. He did not care about Iniri, Tsunami, or anyone here really. He was simply performing a theory. Positive reinforcement came a long way, other than negative reinforcement. But this was good as well. He had these two corpses and the demon brothers, yes, the Anvus, weren't so lucky when they arrived because the demon brothers were not there. As Naruto had plans and things that he were doing, all of this was just a simulation that he was running, a test that he was performing on live subjects because they had the best result. Arriving, Naruto saw the ice crystal dome, and that intrigued him. Sakura was overjoyed to see him. As Naruto stepped in, Sasuke cursed at him though for coming inside, as Naruto had snuck up in there. With the both of them working, him outside and him inside, they could have destroyed it, but Naruto came inside. Yes, I understand your theory behind that. However, you misunderstood one thing. Sasuke was confused, his Sharingan looking back at Naruto. His eyes had activated when he thought that he wouldn't make it. I'm far too strong to be contained by this, Naruto said, sounding rather arrogant and cocky. And that would be your downfall. The Hunter Nin made their opinion known as Naruto looked up to face them, because the mirror was reflecting at least 10 of them around him. The fusion of wind and water release. However, I suppose your Kikigenkai makes it rather perfect. I never thought I would come across someone like you. Interesting, said Naruto. I think it's time that you leave, said Naruto. Sasuke was confused as Naruto was talking to him. What? Sasuke was about to voice his opinion when Naruto slammed his hand in his stomach. Sasuke? Sasuke looked up as he saw Sakura. What the hell? How did he get outside? Sasuke got to his feet, aiming to head back inside when suddenly, all the mirrors shattered. As Naruto was a lone person standing there, Sasuke made his way up towards him. What the hell happened? As I said, I'm much too strong for that, said Naruto. Where did they go? Dead, said Naruto, as he made his way calmly. Sasuke stood there, not sure what to think about that. He couldn't even voice proper words. That wasn't possible, he thought. It wouldn't have been over in such a short amount of time. Sasuke knew that he was not weak. He was not that weak for the Hunter Nin to totally be beating the crap out of him, and yet Naruto ended in around 5 seconds. However, it seems that the rest were about to be wrapped up. Kakashi, having no dilemma or object in his way, his technique ripped through Zabuza like a knife through butter. But their problem wasn't finished yet. As Gato and his men all arrived, their numbers being quite overwhelming. Gato scoffed when he saw Zabuza's corpse. "I should have known. Demon of the Mist, my ass," he said. However, it's time that we end this once and for all. As he looked towards the group that was standing there. While that was going on, Iniri was gathering the people, but it wasn't close to being done yet. So Team 7 had to take the full force of Gato and his thugs. "Bring me their heads. We're taking this village completely." As Gato was done beating around the bushes, it's time that he subjugate them once and for all. It was either his way or no other, he said. "Get them boys," he shouted. Kakashi was quite tired. As he looked towards Naruto, "I'm going to need your help," he said. As powerful as he was, given the condition that he was in and their numbers, he would not come out of this unscathed. "There's nothing to worry about," said Naruto. "They're not going to get past this area." Naruto went through 4 hand signs. Kakashi saw a bird and rat, however, the other 2, he had no idea what the hell they were. Did he make hand signs? The copy ninja thought. As Naruto held his hand out, his palm started to glow. Kakashi did not understood what happened. A clone of Naruto appeared, but there was no smoke or anything. The clone was glowing just like Naruto's palm as it jumped into the water. Kakashi was confused as Naruto raised his hand. The sky above, the section of the bridge where the thugs were, opened up. It was like space itself ruptured open. Fuinjutsu, he thought. However, the amount of water that came out, it was normal. In fact, the pressure was intensified times 100. The bridge stood no chance. That section of the bridge was eviscerated. Bones. Melt. That was the only word that could describe the complete devastation in front of them. The others weren't able to see it because of how fast it happened, but Kakashi Sharingan saw it all. The pressure of the water had been intensified times 10. It was like dropping boulders that were gravity weighted by 10. Gato and his entire army of men were wiped out. Just like that. Kakashi looked towards Naruto, who had nothing on his face. If anything, he seemed rather interested in what he did. As the symbol stopped, the space in the area above them closed up. What was that? The copy ninja questioned. "Space-time Fuinjutsu," said Naruto. Kakashi looked towards Naruto. What did you say? "Space-time Fuinjutsu." That is when Iniri and the others arrive. As Kakashi had to ask Naruto once again. There was no humanly possible way that Naruto was able to achieve something like that. Not at this age. No, that wasn't possible. Time skip. What? Hiruzen Sarutobi said, as he immediately left his office. He wasn't alone. Him and the Onvus arriving at Naruto's apartment. Team 7 got back not too long ago from the Land of Wave mission after staying an extra 2 weeks to help the bridge reconstruction. The mission had been a lot. However, they came out of it unscathed. And Naruto was a hero of the people. They even named the bridge after him for annihilating Gato and reigniting hope back in the people. However, That was not the problem. Team 7 was given the weekend off. When Sakura's parents came and said that she was missing, Hiruzen told his envoys to get Kakashi, but he could not be found. Neither could Sasuke. The last person they had to check was Naruto. Sakura has been missing for the past 17 hours. So were the others as well after more investigation. Arriving at Naruto's apartment, Hiruzen found a door that wasn't supposed to be there. However, the problem was, every single building was checked and not another soul was there. Not even the owner of the building. Hiruzen ventured down the stairs. The envoys checked to make sure there was no trap, but there wasn't any. He doubted that Naruto would simply allow them to find what he was doing if he was doing something bad. So what the hell was going on? Descending down there, they finally arrived. Hiruzen was shocked. How was this possible? This space could not be here because the building had apartments. So where the hell were they, Hiruzen thought. Venture inside. He heard something as he saw a door. He gave them signals as they all lined up. Before Kuma, a large member, a part of the group, kicked the door open. What Hiruzen saw shocked him. His worst fears. Lying on a table was Sakura. Beside her was Sasuke. And close by was Kakashi. All of them were unconscious. Some sort of lab or something. Standing there, as he turned to face them, was none other than Naruto. But guys, it'll be in subscribe right here. If you want to see the next part and do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.